Everybody, Martika here with Martika J Makes. This is my first time going live, and I am really excited about this. I hope that everyone can hear me okay, but I just wanted to come in and share a few items, about 5 items that I think that every sewer should have, especially if you are a beginner. These are some things that some of them I had as a beginner, but some of them, a couple of them, I wish I had as a beginner. And I'll talk more about that in just a moment. But if you are just now beginning your sewing journey, I hope that this can help you, or even if you have been on your sewing journey for a while, I hope that this can help you as well. Because, like I said, it's some things that I have, learned along the way as time went on my sewing journey. And yeah, they have been very helpful. Some of them I use all of the time when I sew. And so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pop this out and get started for you guys. So go ahead, feel free to leave messages in the comments. I love to hear from you, love to know that you're here. And we're gonna go ahead and get started. Now, first of all, everything that I mention is in the description box. So just to let you know that the links are in the description box for all of these items that I am talking about. So the first item I want to talk about is the hot iron ruler, you guys. That is this ruler right here. Let me tell you, this thing, I used to hate hemming. I'm serious. I could sew up a whole entire garment. I loved sewing them up, but when it got to the hemming part, I hated it because I had to felt like I had to take my gauge and measure every part just to make sure everything was even. And so this came across my Instagram feed a long time ago, and I said, you know what, that is what I need. And so what this is, it's a hot iron ruler. You can literally iron right over it, okay, with the hot iron. It does not melt, okay, and it makes hemming a lot faster, a lot easier. I've gotten to the point now to where I can eye my measurements, but if you are just starting out or if you want to be more precise, this is just a great tool to have. So I'm going to get this closer, and as you can see, you have all of your measurements right here. And what you do, you take and you fold your fabric over it and then take your iron to it. And if you guys want to see a demo of that, just let me know and I will put that in a separate video. So let me know in the comments if you want me to demo this. But it is just a great ruler to have. You could use it this way or you can use it this way. So horizontally or vertically, you can use it either way when you are ironing. You can even use it diagonally, you guys, because of all of the markings that is on this ruler. So definitely something I wish I had when I first started out. The next thing I use just about every time I sew is my Madam Sew seam allowance ruler. Okay, so this is a two-piece right here. This is the seam allowance ruler. So what you have here is a small ruler, and what these are measurements on along the ruler itself. So what happens with this, and I want you guys to let me know if you want me to demo this as well, because this is just a game changer right here. So if I am sewing something and my measurements are like 5.8 inches, normally, the measurement when we're sewing our seam allowances, but I might be doing a facing or a hem or something like that that might change it up a little bit. Let's just say that I need to sew like a 1/2 inch on one part of that project. So what I would do is I would put this underneath my presser foot and underneath my needle, and I would find the measurement that I need. And if my needle can go through this hole, then I know that I am at the right spot. After doing that and finding it, you have a magnetic guide here that you would take and put up against up against this ruler here. And then once it's there, I can then lift up my presser foot, remove the ruler, and sew along the seam gauge, the magnetic seam gauge there. And I know that I have the right measurement. game changer. This is also great for you to use if you want to all the time. If you have a problem with keeping your seam straight, okay? So you can set this where you need it to be, and you can put your fabric up against it as you sew, and you don't have to guess at it. It will keep your seam straight at all times. So I use this especially when I don't feel like following that seam gauge on my sewing machine. If I don't feel like thinking about it and knowing that my seam is straight, I use this all the time. So, like I said before, let me know if you want me to demo this as well. Now, the next one, oh, you guys, this is a love-hate relationship right here. Okay, if you sew, you know exactly what I mean. But this is an ergonomic grip seam ripper. That is what this is. It changed my hate for seam ripping because number one, I have like a repetitive strain syndrome in my wrist that sometimes affect my hand, and it just strains and it aches. So having this, I used to have one of those, just a thin seam ripper, and having to rip out so many seams. You guys, your hands can kind of cramp up, especially when you are just starting. Let me tell you, if you just starting in this thing called sewing and you don't think you're gonna make any mistakes, or you don't feel like you're gonna mess up that much because you're just good at everything, let me tell you right now, you're gonna mess up. All right, you're gonna mess up a lot. I've sewn for years. I mess up a lot. A lot of times this come out after I've sewn 2 stitches. Okay, I'm just being honest. This get a workout in my sewing room because it's just something that we do. It's something that we need. And as we know, if this is in the hand, family, friends, do not bother me until I get the seam ripped out. So the difference about this is that, like I said, it's an ergonomic grip. So it's kind of like a silicone here. This is plastic here, and it's like silicone here. But even if this was all plastic, you guys, just the way that it fits in my hand, and I'm able to just get a nice grip on it. It's very comfortable. It comes with a protective lid, and I can take and I can just go at my seams, you guys, without my hands cramping up the way that they used to. So I'm telling you, if you have just one of those regular seam rippers and you find your hands are getting cramped up, this ergonomics grip seam ripper, game changer, you guys. It probably gets the most use in my sewing room, seriously. And it has been a joy to have around. It doesn't hurt to have a backup, I'm telling you. And like I said before, all of the links to everything that I'm showing is listed in the description box. So the next thing that I have is, I've had this since the beginning and I love it. And you probably have it too, or you may not. So it is the 2" by 18" see-through ruler. This is for positioning and marking. You guys, there are like rectangular ones, there's like shorter ones, there's little square ones, but this one here, it has done wonders. It is, let me make sure I have it it is at the it's 2 inches wide there, and it's 18 inches long. Okay. So that's a pretty good length, but it's not so long to where you can't maneuver around with it. Okay. And then it's not, by it being 2 inches, a lot of times when we're measuring, when we're sewing, we do need like that 1 to 2 inch mark. But not only that, you have all of your inches in between. You have like your 1/8 inch. What else? You have not 1/8. You have like your 1/16 inch, your 1/8 inch, your 3/26 inch, your 1/4 inch. You can go up even like to a 7/8 of an inch, and so on and so on. It just makes finding what you need to mark so much easier. And the fact that you can see through it, you can position it exactly where you need to mark it or where you need to adjust those inches. So having a ruler like this is just been absolutely amazing. I really like this one, and this exact one is linked as well. I'm rough on my stuff, you guys. Seriously, as you can see, it's very flexible. Okay, so it has not bent. I have used markers with this, all kind of marking pens. And what I love about this is that I've been able to clean this thing off. So it is what it is. But you can tell by all my fingerprints how much I pull this out. So yeah, this is a 2-inch by 18-inch see-through ruler for positioning and marking. And then we have, this is something I did not have at the beginning of my sewing game that I so wish I would have had, because it would have saved me so much frustration. It would have saved me many buttonholes, okay, from having to go back and repair them. Because as you know, when you first start out, you learn how to do that buttonhole. Then you take that seam ripper and you can set that pin at the beginning and then rip the middle of the buttonhole out to open it up. Well, I have a buttonhole cutter set right here. And if you don't have one, get you one, okay? Just get you one. You will be so glad you did, you guys. I'm telling you, you'll be so glad you did. So it comes with a little bitty cutting board, okay? I think I've never measured this, but it's a little bit larger than 2 inches wide, okay? So that gives you an idea of how tiny it is. It's about, I'm gonna say it's about two. I don't know. Don't even give me the guessing. But little longer, little larger than 2 inches wide. As you can see, I have used this so very often. Okay. You also get your buttonhole cutter. This is the knife to it. All right. That is the knife, the blade that actually cuts open the buttonhole. And you even get an eye hole cutter. Okay. So if you're sewing something where you need to cut a little eye hole in there, you get that as well. So the way that this works, and I actually have a shorts video coming up that will show you how this works. So I'll be putting that up probably this evening. But you make your buttonhole, you sew your buttonhole either by hand, or I don't know many people who do it by hand anymore, but God bless you if you do. Um, but I actually sew mine on the machine. Then I take the fabric and I put it right over on top of this little cutting board for the where the buttonhole is going to be cut open. So I lay that flat there, and then I take my knife and I'm able to just literally rock back and forth. And it is so sharp that it cuts through that fabric. You do need to apply a little pressure, but it cuts through that fabric and it cuts the buttonhole open perfectly. You guys, I have not ripped open any buttonholes further than what they needed to be since I have had this buttonhole cutter set. Game changer. Wish I had this at the beginning, but I learned lessons along the way. I don't have to worry about this anymore. Now, can I make those mistakes with this? Yes. If you go too far up with this cutter and cut those threads, yes, you can still do that. But it's so much harder to do when you're paying attention to what you're doing. So this is an amazing set to have. And last but not least, and I hope you guys have been enjoying this. I hope that this is helping. If it is, let me know. But we are talking about when you're learning to sew zippers, or if you have been sewing zippers for a while, that invisible zipper can make you or break you, okay? Because hence the word invisible. When you sew it in your garment, you don't want to be able to see it. You want it to be invisibly there. But if you don't get that needle close enough to the teeth, then it's going to show. And those are many of the mistakes that I made when I was learning how to sew an invisible zipper. I did not have one of these. And you guys, this is an invisible zipper foot. That is what this is. Let me tell you, when you use this, it makes it so much easier. It makes getting that zipper on so much faster as well, because you don't have to worry about if that needle is getting close enough to those teeth. So underneath here, you have like a little separator, and that is, okay, there we go. That's your little separator there. that goes like on the bottom side of your presser foot, okay? And you can zone your zipper on the left side or the right side. Either way, either side you're sewing. And what happens is your needle goes through this hole right here, which positions it right next to the teeth. Now, you still do need to do a little guidance on your zipper itself just to make sure, because it is a zipper, it can move around. So you just want to hold it, anchor it, make sure that it's not doing any waving as you sew. But sewing with this thing, you can get that zipper, that invisible zipper on in no time, you guys. So this is another thing I wish I had when I first started out, but I got it now, learned about it, got it. This is the only way I put my invisible zippers on now, and it is a breeze. So, as I said before, hi Zelda, you say yes, it can break you. Yes, it can. But you don't have to suffer like I did. Get you an invisible zipper foot, okay? Don't suffer. But I hope you all have enjoyed this. Like I said, all of the links to everything that I've shown is in the description box, and also the actual link to all of my sewing tools in my Amazon store. And I will be showing more and more of things that I think are helpful, you guys. And I hope that some of these things have been helpful. Like I said, if you've been sewing for a while, you probably have seen, do have some of these things. But if you're just starting out, you guys, these items can be so helpful. And on top of that, they're not expensive either, in my opinion. You know, just a few bucks, and it's going to save you a lot of headache. Zelda, you said you have an invisible zipper foot and you forgot about it? Oh, why are you suffering? Okay. Pull it out so you don't forget it the next time you need it. You guys, and that's what we do. We collect things and we forget that we have things. Sometimes I'll see other sewers sewing with things, and I'm like, that's right, I got one of those somewhere. And then I'll have to go and find it. But that's what we do. And we have a lot of fun doing it. So when you have the right tools that can make making your projects a lot easier, it makes the downside of what can be frustrating about it less frustrating, because all the rest of it has just been a complete and total breeze. So, yeah, thank you guys for joining my very first live. And I say my first because it's definitely not my last. This has been fun, okay? And I like to have fun, especially when we are talking about sewing. If you do not follow me in my Amazon storefront, do that, because I'm going to be going live there as well on several occasions, and not just showing sewing items, but showing some of my other favorite things, like some of the things that I eat, like you guys have been requesting and asking on this diabetes journey that I've been on. So you guys definitely make sure you're following me over there. Hi, Suzette. You said I used a seam guide at a sewing retreat last summer. Game changer. Tell me about it. That seam guide will change your life. And if you're a beginner, it have you feeling like a professional. Okay, we're talking about this right here. And when you add this to it, let me tell you, hands down, you're like, oh, shoot, I got this. You can talk and you can do whatever while you're sewing, because you don't have to worry about that seam going nowhere else outside of that guide. So, yeah, you guys, I'm glad you have joined me. And yeah, make sure you're following me, because there's going to be some fun and great things coming up. And yeah, I will see you in the next video or in the next live. So thank you guys for joining, and I will talk to you again soon. Have a great one. Bye-bye.